Everyone, Christian here, and we are back again in the house. I'm going to give you another review of another garden in Florida that I have done a little bit of work for on a few occasions. Once was when I worked at Fairchild. Um, this first of all, it's Naples Botanical Garden in Naples, Florida. So it's a straight shot from Miami on 75. It's about 80 to 90 miles. Probably take about it's about a 2 hour drive given traffic in both cities. But Naples Botanical Garden was used to be sort of just a community garden. It was fairly lackluster from what I can remember back in the mid 2000s. And then right around 2008, there was new administration and a ton of money from the city came in. Now, Naples is a very nice town. It's probably the wealthiest town. It's the wealthiest large town on the west coast of Florida. I can't see it not being so. It has tons of eight-figure houses, on the water. There's a huge tax base, and they decided to fund the garden. Somewhere around that time, they gave them, I don't know how much money, but it was many millions to build a new garden, and so the whole place was redone. And when that was happening, or starting to happen, they called up Fairchild when I was working there, and they asked for someone to come and sort of take an accession of all of the plants that they had sort of inherited from the previous uh, garden that had existed there. The person who was the curator of collections said, "Hey Christian, most of these things are palms anyway. It's more your thing. Like, do you want to go do that?" And of course, I wanted to go do that. So I went over there, and they had a number of cool palms. Mostly, like they had a lot of older plants that are relatively common, but they were starting to get in stuff. Now, the difference between Naples Botanical and a place like Fairchild or Montgomery is that Fairchild and Montgomery were sort of built from the ground up, meaning they collected seed, they grew these plants up, and they planted them out in the garden. Naples Botanical is more bought than it is built. A lot of money was poured in to get specimen plants. I remember between 2008 and 2011 or so, there was this magical list of plants that Naples Botanical wanted, and because of the economic situation at the time, uh, finding these plants was like a golden ticket to making decent money in the plant world at the time. They actually went to a lot of private gardens and made offers to people for stuff that they couldn't find elsewhere, and they were offering a lot of money. So they have. I remember seeing these huge Adelaeas being planted in the garden. I have some pictures somewhere, and I wish I was better at video editing. I would add them, here or here. Um, Maybe I'll try and do that at some point. So, I went there one time. Then, basically, I had left Fairchild later in that year and had come back a few times to help them um, with certain questions on where certain palms should go and what to do with some of the leftover plants. And at that point, this new administration has sort of taken over, and it's a very the best way to explain it is a very formal garden. I almost feel like you have to be well dressed to come there, sort of like a country club or a golf course. Um, and I believe the price for admission is $25. But I do believe that it is well worth it because of the just sheer number of mature specimens that exist on the property. Whether they were purchased or whether they were grown from seed, it really doesn't matter if they're well taken care of, and they look great. A palm enthusiast or plant enthusiast is going to want to see that. And sometimes Naples is a newer city. In 1970, it had maybe 10 or 20,000 people, and that would it's huge now. I mean, it's not a huge city in the sense like it's not like Miami, but it is grown exponentially. So again, this is a very nice area. It's about an hour and a half, hour and 45 minutes from me, just a straight shot down 75. If you're coming from, like I said, Miami, it's about 2 hours. And if you're coming from Tampa, you're looking at more like closer to 3 hours. So given those times, you can think, accordingly. Say you're coming from Atlanta, you're looking at more like 10, 11 hours. So um, now the garden does have a lot of artificial elevation change. There's a lot of walkways. It's very well manicured. It doesn't to the point where it looks a little bit artificial, but it looks, the well manicured aspect of it is part of what the garden is. It is a more formal garden, where Fairchild is going to be more of a garden it is well manicured, but it looks like it's more left, natural, I guess you could say. Montgomery is manicured for the sake of keeping the plants, easy to access, that sort of thing, because they do a lot of work with them, taking a look at seeds, pieces of plants. They have to, examine them under a microscope. They want to make sure that they keep all diseases away. Now, Naples is like, essentially a display garden, but it is the same in the fact that it does have that social aspect to it. They are about making money. They are, all these gardens are nonprofits, but they all want to keep themselves well funded, and Naples is no different than that. So it is sort of like it is a display garden that is funded by I believe the city and the county. I'm sure they get other funding. I don't know all about their funding, but primarily started by the city. And the social aspect of it is what I believe and for all of these gardens, I believe is what detracts from what plant enthusiasts would really enjoy in a garden, where you can just go and hang out and talk with some friends and discuss plants. This is more of like an art exhibit. You're not going to just hang out at a museum and kind of just they will have events and you can just sort of hang out, but understand a lot of these people do it for the social aspect and not for the plant aspect. So like I said, I believe it's also $25 to get in. There are annual memberships that are offered, and these annual memberships usually have reciprocity with other gardens. So say you wanted to visit Fairchild, Naples, Botanical, Selby, and Lou Gardens in Orlando. I want to say $125 will give you access to all of those for a year, and that's per person. So if you have a family of four, admission for one day is going to cost you $100. So there's there's waterscapes, there's lakes that are there. There's some. It kind of sits near the edge of the bay there, and so there are some low-lying areas, and it does get very hot there in the summer. Yeah, more so. There's not a lot of natural shade. Any natural shade was taken out during the construction, where Fairchild and Montgomery do have a lot of natural shade there. So do note that you will be feeling 95-degree temperatures in the 95 in the shade. Probably it's gonna feel like triple digits in the sun on most summer afternoons. So do know that bring plenty of water. You're gonna be walking around a lot in the sun, and sunscreen. That area does get a lot hotter. There's really not much of a coastal breeze, and but otherwise, it doesn't have like a history behind it like Fairchild and Montgomery does, but it does have that stunning beauty that it does have. So with that said, I would give Naples Botanical about an 8.2 out of 10. It's lacking some things like the historic aspect, the desire to sort of like collect the weird and unusual. This is going on like me being a plant enthusiast, like wanting to see like the oddest things, and having someone there that's like out to get everything that they possibly can. So someone else might rate it as like a straight 10 out of the beauty and the how well manicured it is, like sort of golf course style. So that's my opinion. So with that in mind, hope you guys enjoyed the video. If you did, give it a thumbs up. If you're new to the channel, like discussing tropical plants or hearing them being discussed, Feel free to subscribe and hit the bell notification. You'll see when I upload a new video or go live. If you have any questions about Naples Botanical, I believe it's naplesbotanical.org, but if you type in Naples Botanical Garden, I'm sure they'll give you the website and all the information will be on there. So thanks for watching, and see everyone next time.